Hello and welcome to this lesson, Building Audience Types for Google AdWords. My name is Jeff and I'm the CEO and founder of Web Wonks. Web Wonks, first of all, I should actually thank my staff for putting together the data that you're going to see on screen in this lesson. Web Wonks is committed to education, knowledge transfer, and to adding to your business objectives, whatever they may be, by using a range of Google data sets. And in the case of this particular video, we're going to look at audience types, how we create those, and how they are used to more efficiently target individuals who are likely to buy your products or services. So if I get stuck into the lesson, what we're going to look at today is audience lists, audience insights, audience sources, and then we're going to have a look at an ad group structure. So you actually see that on screen at the moment. We have 3 ad groups for a series of ads that we have running on YouTube at the moment. So the ad group types are affinity, topics, and custom intent, and that's just our naming protocol. So for audiences, once you've logged in, you need to go to Tools and Settings, to the Shared Library, and we're going to look at the Audience Manager. And the default is that it's going to show us a remarketing section next to a custom audiences section. We'll go to that in a moment. Below the remarketing, you'll see that we have 2 lists in use and a series that are not in use. Now, I will ignore the ones not in use because they've got no value to us at all, and instead I will look at the all website visitors remarketing list. Before I click through on that, I'll just show you that the list has different sizes for different network types. So on the search engine, there are 670 users who have the cookie installed on their browser and are a part of the audience that I have here. That number climbs to 170 for the display network and drops off for those that we know the Gmail address of. So to configure this particular list, if you have a list in your account that you want to tinker around with, I do advise you be careful when doing so, but that's up to you. So if I click on edit the list, in fact, I'll go back one step and I'll just show you this particular screen. So I'll see some default settings for this list and you'll see the sizes as we saw in the previous screen. So imagining that I want to make a change, and I do, this list is currently open for 120 days. That's why these lists are so large. The curation of a list is quite important. Who you have in it, how many people you have in it is going to have a bearing on how many people you end up targeting and obviously how much you spend. So ensuring that you have the right component, the right style, the right size of audience is important. So I'm going to lower this down to 90 days, and in time that will drop the total number by roughly 25%, you would imagine. So when I edit the list, there are a couple of things. The audience name, I'm going to keep it at all website visitors. You, of course, can change it if you wish. The conditions are that you have to visit a web page that has Web Wonks in it. The URL has Web Wonks in every page, so therefore every page that someone goes to is eligible to have the cookie placed on their browser. I'm going to change that duration to 90 days. The membership is open, and I'm not going to add a description because it's self-evident that it's all website visitors. It's as simple as that to edit an existing list. Of course, if you want to create a list, you can do so yourself. We're going to carry on to custom audiences for now, though. And we're going to see again that in this screen we have those that are in use and those that are not in use. I'm going to look at a custom intent audience for the display network. Now, this is actually incorrectly named because I'm also able to use this audience list on YouTube. So in here, we have a series of search terms that people have made on the Google search platform. Having done that, they are then eligible to be served ads on the display network or the YouTube network, YouTube broadcast. So if you're creating a custom intent audience, you should curate this to a particular type. So our list here has a range of different service types that we offer. It has some of our competitors in it. It has some associated search terms that users might make, and this creates the list. Now, you can add to search terms if you wish. As I was alluding to there, make sure you curate the type of list that you have. So I'm going to save this list now that I've updated the name. You can see that we've also got a digital marketing searches ad group. It's a wee bit older, and we have a display auto creative audience list, which was recently created, and I'll click through on that one there, and I'll look at audience size for this one. So according to Google, the number of queries that or keywords that we have to trigger with is going to give us this distribution. So 10 billion to 1 trillion impressions. Okay, the age distribution, the gender distribution, and interestingly enough, parental status. And we will look at that a few minutes, not just parental status, but also income bracket. So those are the two list types, if you will, remarketing and custom audiences. So I quite like custom audiences these days. I'm seeing remarketing drop away. Cookies will die off soon enough, and that will probably see the end of remarketing in the current guise. To audience insights, this is interesting because, as I was saying, when you're curating your list, you want to make sure that you've got the right number. 10 billion is probably the right number, so I'm going to use some other settings to tighten this all up. For now, I'm going to go and have a look at the two lists that I've got. I've got website visitor lists and I've got YouTube lists. I'm going to look at all viewers in the last 90 days to our YouTube ads. And this immediately gives me, first of all, I'll say that the comparison I'm going to make is the country, New Zealand. That's where we are. There you go, you could do it with the display network, but I'm going to keep it to New Zealand. So demographic-wise, as we saw before, a higher distribution to males than the average and a lower distribution to females than the average. That is because of our targeting options. The age distribution, again, is more weighted toward an older age demographic to deal with the people who are more likely to consume what Web Wonks offers, business owners and the like. For parental status, I don't know how we could use that. I guess if you're using a product that is specifically for a newborn or a child, potentially there are some elements within that where you could target life events, which are prior to giving birth. You may need a bassinet or health supplements, and post giving birth, you may wish to give a newborn mother a gift or clothing of some description. So using that targeting to affect the proper place for your ads to show is, I guess, a prime use of parental status. So then you've got some relevant audiences, got some in-market audiences. So interestingly enough, people that are looking to pick up trucks, fishing equipment, commercial properties, accounting software, and that's what they're looking for. They're wanting to buy those things, and that they're interested in, or their affinity audiences, driver racing, non-fiction TV, SUVs, cricket, certainly something that I'm a fan of. And then I'll just jump back here for a moment. So the audience insights are useful for you. Locations, sorry, I did not show. Obviously New Zealand, and you can see the distribution, cities, just all Auckland. That's not true. I don't believe that the detail you get here is correct. We are targeting the whole of New Zealand, and device category. So getting less impressions on mobile than the norm, or the average, and more on computers. But again, I would suggest that our weighting is better placed against that. So getting these insights is going to have a big bearing on how you curate your list. And then we look at the sources. We have a Google ad tag and we have YouTube. So if I look at the Google ad tag, what we'll see here is that the tag is tracking, which is always a good sign. Then in the last 24 hours, 97 hits have occurred. What's a hit? It shows a 24-hour span of activity recorded by this tag due to processing time. We won't see the last hour. Still, 97 is pretty good. In use lists, how many lists created using this audience source are currently being targeted? Okay, so that will be our all website list from before. So this is starting to get a little bit technical in terms of how you install the tag, and this is definitely where Web Wonks is able to assist its clients. That is something that we specialize in. If I jump back and I have a look at the YouTube source, we'll see that we've had to link the channel. We have 91 subscribers at this point with 86 videos, and in use list is one of 3. So again, if I click into that, I believe that it will be the Dr. Seal Data video viewers, which we'll use as a remarketing tag in one of our, or remarketing audience in one of our campaigns, to which 4,700 people would see our ads. So if we look, I'll just break down this for a moment. So we have remarketing to follow users around who have been to our site. We've had custom intent audiences who are people we want to come to our site. We then go into remarketing. The audience insights is more or less showing me what I'd like to see. There's potentially some tweaking there. The audience sources, I'm using one of each in terms of the Google tag and then the YouTube network. So if you're still with me at this point and you've followed along, congratulations, you are an advanced Google ad user. However, if you haven't, look at the how-to guides that we have on the website, look at some of the help links and FAQs, and of course you can get in touch. But if you are following to this point, you'll see that I'm back to where we started, and that is looking at ad groups. So for this particular campaign, we have 3 ad groups. We have an affinity audience, we have a topics placement, and we have a custom intent audience. So if I look at the affinity, you see the videos, but I'm more concerned about the audiences. And we'll see that we have business professionals under lifestyle and hobbies. We have avid business readers under news and politics. If I go and have a look at the custom, I want to have a look at the topics. What we see here is we don't have an audience. Instead, we're targeting based upon topics that users are interested in. Now, at this stage, I'll state that topics and affinity, as well as placements and keywords, are historically the way that you would target on the display network. In the last 12 months, that being April 2020, the 12 months prior, with the death of remarketing has come the growth of audience lists, that custom intent audience. So topics and affinity in market still have a place. Absolutely they do, especially if you're trying to get a widespread message out there. I would look at using a lot of those audience types or placement types, should I say. When it comes to that targeted option, that's where the custom intent audiences come in really usefully. So that's what we have inside of this campaign here, and we'll have a look at all campaign data in a moment. But in terms of the audience, you can see that we have it connected to the custom intent audience display on YouTube. That's the one that I've just edited. That is targeting people searching for products and services that we offer, some of our competitors, and a range of other periphery search terms. They are then shown on the YouTube platform, our videos. We have 2 of those. So we have one that was set up for remote working and one that says don't get cabin fever. Now, for the date range that's been selected for this particular campaign, the 3rd to the 9th of April 2020, this is during the infamous COVID-19 pandemic. The ads had only begun advertising, so we'll actually have a look at the full overview. It's not quite where I want to go. I'll look at the videos and speak to the specifics. So for this audience, 1,200 people have seen the ad up to the skip button, the 5-second button. 314 have seen this video. And the retention rate for people that are watching the full video is 20% of the time people will watch the full ad, and 16% of the time for the second ad. We can see the cost per view, the costs. Now, what I was looking for just a moment ago was to look at all of the campaigns, all of the ad groups data. I don't want to go into that section, so I won't, but I can compare how the custom intent audience ad group is doing when compared to the affinity or the topics. And what I can tell you is that the engagement rate is lower on the custom intent, and that's probably because we've got our competitors in there and they don't want to see our ads, potentially. So you would expect to see that if you were targeting your own competitors. The last thing I want to follow up on or cover off is demographics. And here you'll see a few things: so age, gender, parental status, household income, and I'll ignore combinations and exclusions. So we are targeting men between the ages of 35 to 64 as an isolation test. We're going to open this up to females from the midpoint of April, and that of course will increase. We'll look at it'll either increase the budget or dilute the budget spend, but we now have a control group of how our ad groups were performing as engagement from impression to viewability. So from there I can see the gender. I can see, of course, that's all male. Status is that 98 men were parents and 190 men were not. And from a household income status, we have now, sort of for the first 2 days, we had the lower 50 percentile. We've now excluded that, and you can see that we've excluded that income group. To be brutally frank, I don't know how Google gets this information. I don't know how it judges that someone earns more than someone else. I guess there are browsing behaviors and search terms that may lend itself to that, but I'm very dubious. So you could look at this maybe restricting some of your targeting. You could also look at it as the intention is that it's going to give you more specific targeting, but nonetheless it is here for you to come and investigate. So it's a lot that I've covered in this particular lesson, and I'll recap it. We had audience lists. If I go back to the audience manager under the shared library, I've got audience lists, remarketing, custom audiences. I've got audience insights, which I have to select. I have audience sources, which are reasonably technical. And then I have the actual campaigns. This is what I was looking for, the screen. In terms of the engagement rate, you can see the custom intent is lower than the affinity, which is the highest, the view rate. So having looked at what targeting type I'm going to use, I can put them against an ad group. I can weigh whether or not they're working well for me. Am I happy with the spend? And I can target and tweak more effectively as time goes on. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Go to the Web Wonks website, use the how-to guide, use one of our contact forms. It won't be too difficult to do. If you enjoyed this video and you took some value out of it, please subscribe or take a look at one of our other playlists. Thanks for watching.